Hello, everyone. We are here with Padoa Casoretti, one of the authors of book Western Gnosis. She contributed an article to this collection on initiation and asceticism pertaining to ancient Greek religiosity. You talk a lot about the ancient Greek mysteries. What are the ancient Greek mysteries?
The Greek mysteries are initiations rites. Well, the very origin of the word, the root of the word is a Greek term. It comes from the word, which means to close in on oneself, to close one's mouth mainly. And the word that best defines this meaning is mystes. Mystes was the one that kept his or her mouth closed. Mystes was the initiate. The initiate kept his mouth closed because he practiced silence as a norm, and also because he had a secret to be kept. This secrecy had to do with initiation, the secret of revelation, which is the mysterion, in Greek. In its plural form, means the set of initiation ceremonies, or the mystery schools. On initiation, what is initiation? It is a process in which the adept goes through an inner transformation. And the term itself, initiation. This term, when translated from Greek to Latin, brings this connotation of a new beginning, of a process that leads to a rebirth. So this rebirth and this transformation are fundamental elements within this process. And such process, well, to reach this transformation, this rebirth occurs upon having contact with a revelation, or a vision, or just upon having contact with an immaterial dimension capable of promoting such transformation. This transformation can be either temporary or permanent, depending on the type of mystery involved. And the mystery schools have some points in common. Not only the mystery schools, but also the initiation schools in general. Normally, the initiation process involves steps to prepare the physical body. So, for example, there is a concern about diet, about distancing oneself from others, and about silence. All of this is to get to a second stage, which is a deeper stage of purification, in which the emotional body and the mental body are then purified. All this is to achieve that goal of welcoming something greater and transformative. There are differences also. I talk about 3 types of mysteries, or 3 classes of mysteries, which represent 3 ways of establishing a relationship with the realm of sacredness.
Very interesting, Anna. Such a diversity of approach perspectives on sacredness seems to me to be something quite enriching. A little more about what differentiates these 3 approaches.
Sure. These distinctions I make come from something I realized last year when I started writing this chapter, and it ended up taking another direction precisely because of this realization, which is a quite new conception, academically speaking, because it talks about mysterical experiences or initiatory experiences pertaining to parts of the soul. This issue of the parts of the soul is a very ancient Greek conception that can help one to better understand these distinctions that I make. The Pythagorean corpus, which existed there for about 200 years, postulated the existence of 3 parts of the soul: an aesthetic soul, aesthesis, which responds to sensory stimuli, an emotional soul, the psyche, which responds to affections, emotions, and feelings, and nous, which is the superior part of the soul, the superior reason, above instrumental reason, the one which is capable to establish contact with higher realities. So the 3 mysteries I cover, the mysteries of Dionysus, the Eleusinian Mysteries, and the Orphic Mysteries, they correspond to 3 forms of experiencing sacredness, based on the different parts of the soul each of them affect. And in this way, they serve as a model for stages of human spirituality. These are stages that are repeated throughout history. For example, with the Dionysus one, in the rituals that took place, the adept was led to have a sensory response experience, be it through dances or through music. The adept was driven to a state of ecstasy. And the moment of ecstasy is a moment when individuality is diluted. At this moment, the adept, in the absence of himself, is able to establish intimacy with the deity of nature. One can even speak of him being possessed by the god. It's a moment that is needed in the spirituality stage to overcome corporeality in its crudest form. As for the mysteries of Eleusis, they go a little further. They seek a more permanent relationship with the divine. So, for example, in the initiations of the greater Eleusinian Mysteries, there are lesser ones too. I do make that distinction in the book, chapter. But in the greater ones, which are the ones we're concerned with anyway, the adept was led through successive stages in such a way as to have a sacred vision called epopteia, which was a revealing vision about the immaterial dimension. And through this vision, he began to undergo a transformation. This was not only within himself, but was also a transformation in his own relationship with divinity through a feeling, an emotion of faith that would emerge within himself, one that was something more permanent, something a little more lasting. And finally, there were the Orphic Mysteries. In this case, we can see a prevalence of the use of a higher reason, and also the blossoming of a Gnostic seed.
This seems fascinating to me, this typology you propose, with the various types of mysteric initiations and different levels of spirituality associated with parts of the soul. Very fascinating indeed. And you comment at the end that it is within this third dimension, associated with the new, and within the initiations of the Orphic Mysteries, that one can encounter the seed of the blossoming of Gnosis. So could you comment a little bit more on that? What is this seed? What is this Gnostic element within the mysteries?
Orphism was a religious process that took shape in Greece from the 6th century BC onwards, and the Orphic initiation promised to give the adept a way to disconnect from earthly matters. Through an intellectual effort, that is, a liberation from this very order of nature, a liberation from this system of existence. And the key to this process lied in the mental body, in memory. The act of remembering, especially Orphic initiations. In their teachings, by remembering, the soul, after death, could escape the web of reincarnations. The Orphics believed in reincarnation in metempsychosis. So the act of remembering, through instructions and precise guidance throughout one's life, led the Orphic to, after death, remember this. There were even lamellae, plaques, which he was supposed to take with him after death. On them, there were instructions inscribed. So the Orphic lamellae contained these short phrases, short reminder phrases for the soul, which were precisely reminders for the soul to remember what he or she had learned in their process during life. One of these reminders, which is often repeated in the lamellae, is about one's origin. Some of these lamellae were even found in the last century in some archaeological sites in Europe, so new material was discovered. The repetition of many of these principles. One of these principles was the issue of one's origin. So in this sentence, the Orphic initiate states that he is a mixture, a fruit of the earth and heaven. mas minha origem é divina. Então, nessa sentença, o iniciado órfico, ele afirma que ele é um misto, fruto da terra e do céu. But on the other hand, he further states that he is no mixture, for it seems like a contradiction when he claims, but my origin is divine. So here the initiate is affirming his stance on this controversy which divides him between earth and heaven. He is making a choice. My origin is divine, and this will serve as a password. He will say this password to the guardians. He will say, let me pass because I'm not from here. My origin is divine. And this certainty about a divine origin is what made the Orphics commit themselves in life to a process of ascesis. This process involved disposing oneself of certain things. It involved a dissolution of the external elements, which were added to the human being during its process of separating oneself away from unity, as if those were outer shells, outer layers that must be eliminated. And the demolition process of these shells involves an alternation between transformation and knowledge. Transformation provides an opening to greater knowledge, and knowledge provides greater transformation. It's like an ascending spiral. And this type of process bears the Gnostic mark, the Gnostic seal.
Thank you very much for your fascinating exposition, Anna, and if you want to learn more about this, be sure to read this unmissable chapter, Initiation and Asceticism in Ancient Greek Religiosity, in the book titled Western Gnosis.